We're ready for the our big guest today, Pete. He's in town for the Jimmy Johnson fishing tournament, Quest for the Ring. A lot of boats entered, and he's bringing his fishing tournament north. Of course, he was the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Hurricanes. Let's go to the Barb's Harley-Davidson Sports Hotline and welcome into the locker room a two-time Super Bowl champion and a national champion at the college level, Coach Jimmy Johnson. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great, Billy. Happy to be on with you and Pete.
Hey, Coach, we prior to having you on, we were playing some old clips with your old buddy, Buddy Ryan.
Well, I'll just say one thing about Buddy. Of course, we actually became good friends, not only Buddy, but also his sons. And Buddy used to say, well, hey, he said, when Jimmy came into pro football, he said, there's no East Carolinas, in pro football. And I told Buddy that first year when I was 1-15, I said, no. I said, there is, because we're East Carolina. but I had the last laugh on Buddy, though, because there toward the end of his career, my career, I said, one thing about Buddy, he used to get onto my case, but Buddy never won a playoff game, and it seems like I won a couple of Super Bowls.
Yes, you did. Don't rub it in. So, Coach, one thing we wanted to ask you in all seriousness, you guys had a obviously pretty fiery relationship, during the season. Did you ever have a chance to, bury the hatchet and make amends?
Yeah. In fact, I did a game when Buddy was in Arizona. Terry Bradshaw and actually did the broadcast of I think Arizona and San Diego, and back then it was San Diego. And so I had a chance to sit down with Buddy and interview him, and we laughed and cut up, and I had great respect for him. He was a great defensive coach, and they had some very talented teams there at Philadelphia. And then, as it turned out, there was, with the rivalry with Philadelphia, people think that, I'm negative toward Philadelphia, but really Jeffery Lurie is one of my close friends, and I came very close to taking the Philadelphia job many years ago. And so, I'm actually a Philadelphia fan.
Well, I got to tell you, we watch the Fox pre- and post-game shows. We love watching you on there with Kirk Menefee, Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, Michael Strahan. You guys, we were just saying before you came on, that's our go-to pregame show.
Well, I tell you what, we got great chemistry. We're great friends. Terry Bradshaw is one of my best friends. And, of course, the ratings have been through the roof ever since we started back about 26 or 27 years ago. And but we have a ball. And the great thing about the show, it is totally unscripted. We don't do a rehearsal. Bill Richards, our producer, the only thing he'll do, he'll say, okay, Terry, you talk first about the 49ers, and then Jimmy's going to talk, and then Strahan, and then Howie, et cetera, et cetera. And so everything is off the cuff. And if you're following Bradshaw, you better be ready, because he's liable to tell a farm animal story instead of talking football.
Hey, Coach, now
we have a ball.
And now you're getting ready to go back to the studio. You've been away, obviously, because of the COVID. I guess you're probably really looking forward to getting back in the studio.
Yeah, in fact, we worked it out. I'm going to stay for the OT and the double headers and everything else, and looking forward to being back with my guys. So it'll be fun.
Jimmy, it's Pete Thompson. I know that, it seems like a year and a half ago I got a release from the Atlantic City Sports Commission announcing that they'd come to an agreement for you guys to host this event, and then this little thing called COVID hit, right? And, so is this the first time you're actually getting up here and you're finally able to pull this off?
Yeah, and I tell you what, you talk about excitement. I'm excited, but I think the fishermen are excited too. I think we've got over 80 boats registered. It starts tomorrow. The Atlantic City Sports Commission, they helped us bring the tournament there, and the Golden Nugget, and of course the Hard Rock. These fishermen now, we've given out with my tournament there in South Florida. We've given out, if you count this year and Atlantic City, $10 million in prize money. But those fishermen, it's amazing. they're liable to win a ton of money and prizes and stuff. The ones that have gone through the experience here, I mean, they just have so much fun because we have a big gifting experience where they get so much swag. I mean, they get more swag than the actors get on the Emmy Awards or the Oscars, and just the experience. The other thing is, myself, when I see a team get a check for about $400,000 or so, I think that's what they want, and they'll come up to me and say, "Hey, the number one reason we're happy is we get to get that ring and go in the Ring of Honor, and it's because we give them championship rings."
Yeah.
But it's a great experience.
Yeah, I'm looking through here. Hardway, Four Aces, Liquid, Wheeze in the Keys, Rockstar. Jimmy, the name of boats is always an amusing topic to me.
Catch 23,
right?
Michael Jordan's boat's entered.
Right, Catch 23's in there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, Michael I think he's fishing it the last 3 years, and so, yeah, I mean, it is a big time fishing, fishing tournament, and there's the way we did it after the first year. We made it to where it was also exciting for maybe not the professional fishermen. So there's other prizes in there, and the main thing, like I said, they love the gifting experience. The families have things to do. Todd Roy and Val Roy, they have done a great job of making it an event, something to go to, and there's big dinners, big parties. It's really a fun time.
Coach, did you have a lot of experience around AC or in AC? Had you been in this area much at all prior to this?
Yeah, I did a time or two. My wife, Rhonda, and my attorney, Nick Christian, we flew up to Philadelphia, drove over to Atlantic City, was all excited. Donald Trump, he had us go to, his place, and we went to a fight. We went to a big pre-fight party. And we were wandering around at the Spinks-Tyson fight, and we turned to a side, and next thing you know, after about 9 seconds, the fight was over.
That's right.
I was at that fight.
But we've been to Atlantic City a few times, and I love going down the boardwalk.
We're talking with legendary coach Jimmy Johnson, two-time Super Bowl champion, national champion. Coach, I heard we heard the tuna are running big right now, the blue and yellow tuna. We also heard the Marlins, the blue and white marlin are starting to run.
Yeah, we catch a few marlin down here, but up there, I guess they get more white marlin, and then if the tuna are running, that's going to be exciting right there too. I mean, so the fishermen should have a good time out there catching fish. Down here in Florida last year, it's got to be a record because just in 2 days, the fishermen caught and released over 700 shellfish. Wow. I mean, it's crazy. But they have a ball, if they catch one or two. Because like I said, the experience of the tournament, it's the main thing.
Now, Coach, rumor has it that you like to go out fishing by yourself.
Yeah, I do. If I've got people on board, I feel like there's some pressure to catch fish, and I want to go out there to relax. So I'll go out. I'll take some people out on occasion, but a lot of times, and I don't like to wait on anybody. And so whenever my eyes open in the morning, my boat's ready. So I walk out there, start the engines, and I go fishing. I might have a 3 or 4 cold ones before lunch, and I come on back. If I caught a fish, fine. But if I didn't catch a fish, I had a good time and I relaxed. And so that's why I fish alone. I don't want to be on the boat working, trying to entertain somebody to catch a fish. I want to go out there to relax.
Well, our good buddy Mark Grimes is going to be on the Island Girl, and he said that's the favorite to win the tournament.
According to him.
And Grimes wants to say hi to Wes Vespi and Greg Mark. He wanted to let him know that they're gonna come home with that ring. Vespi's not going to win a ring. The only ring he can win is at the University of Miami.
We got Jimmy Johnson on with us here on the Locker Room on 97.3 ESPN. And, Coach, I'd be remiss if – and Billy was saying, like, what questions do you want to ask the coach? I said, I got one that's kind of out of left field, but I am a huge fan of the show Survivor, so I have to ask you about what are probably the 8 longest days of your life, spending that time. Of course, it's longer in pre-production and then afterwards, but everybody sits at home. You know, football is where you get armchair quarterback, but everybody sits at home and watches the show and thinks they can do it. How difficult was it, and how did that experience change you?
Well, you know, I was a huge fan of the show, and actually they turned me down the first time, and then I ran into Les Moonves in New York, and he said, "You still want to be on the show?" He said, "Those people are crazy. That'd be great for ratings to have you on the show." I said, "Yeah, I'd like to do it," you know. So anyway, we actually had a week of pregame where we were sleeping on the ground in tents, and we did have food during that time. And so I was okay with it. You know, the biggest thing that I did not like is I couldn't get any sleep.
Right.
You don't have a change of clothes. You know, it's pouring down rain. You're soaking wet. You know, bugs are biting you. You know, I actually dealt with the no food. We had one little scoop of rice a day.
Wow.
And I lost 18 pounds. Now, since that time, I've talked to Jeff Probst, you know, and had dinner with him a few times. You know, we actually had 2 girls quit on that Survivor where I was on. And he said, you know, that was just bad for the show to have them quit. So they've given them a lot more food. And so, you know, people are not just starving themselves like they did when I was on there. But I dealt with it. In fact, I needed to lose a little weight anyway, so losing but not getting any sleep, that was a pain. I didn't like that. And plus, I didn't form any alliances with anybody. And so after about 8 days or so, you know, they were trying to decide who to vote off, and I kind of looked over and said, "Hey, I'm not going to get upset. I'm ready to go get on the couch and have a cold beer."
They didn't do you any favors when they broke it up, the old tribe versus the young tribe either. That didn't do you any favors.
Yeah, and we had a couple of the old guys on my tribe. They knew that once we ever merged, those young people are going to keep me around. And even the gals on our tribe said, "Hey, Cody, you stay with us. And but I had my experience. I was happy with it, and I was ready to get on the couch and watch it on TV after that.
Well, and it's funny too. Like the people that some people knew who you were, some people didn't know who you were. Like I remember, I'm such a fan of the show. I remember I kept staring at Gary Hogaboom, thinking like, God, this Gary, and you know, of course, they only put up the first name. You have to do more internet research to really figure out last people. But he didn't want to have anybody know that he was a former pro athlete because any little thing could send you packing.
Oh yeah. A couple of guys that was on my tribe said that, hey, they knew the first chance they had, they wanted to get me out of there because they knew a lot of the young people would be fans, and they would keep me around even though they knew I wasn't going to win.
We're talking with legendary Hall of Fame coach of the Dallas Cowboys, Jimmy Johnson. Now, get back to my question. Getting back to football, in 1989, at the peak of Herschel Walker's NFL career, you made that big trade. How challenging was it for you? It was a big chance, I guess you took.
Change the franchise.
Yeah, but I mean, it actually ended up working out. But how much trepidation did you have before making that trade?
Well, of course, I'd come from University of Miami, and we had a national schedule. We were on national television every other week. And we went 4 years playing a national schedule and only had lost, one game, a regular season game in 4 years. And so, we look at actually 2. One I don't count because Notre Dame, they screwed us. But anyway, so we were accustomed to winning. Well, I got to Dallas, and Tom Landry's one of the greatest coaches of all time. But he had 3 straight losing seasons. And in that last season, they were last in the NFL, 3-13. So I looked around and I said, geez, it's not because coaching. I said, these guys don't have any players. My Miami team probably could have beaten them, because they just didn't have any talent. And I said, if we go the old pro, take the best player available thing, I said, we'll be fired in 3 years, because we're not going to turn it around taking the best player available. And the only guy that we have that anybody wants is Herschel Walker. So we made the Herschel Walker trade, but before the Herschel Walker trade, I traded my starting quarterback, Steve Pallure, to Kansas City for 3 going to a 2. I released the leading wide receiver, couldn't outrun me. and so I made 51 trades in 5 years, trying to jumpstart that thing to get talent. And so, it worked out. People, point to the Herschel Walker trade saying, that was the reason. But like I said, we made 50 other trades besides, Herschel. I drafted Steve Walsh knowing that I was going to trade him, and I traded him to the Saints for a 1, 2, and a 3. And so by making all those trades, we were able to upgrade the talent. When we won the Super Bowl, we were the youngest team in the league. And so that's kind of, why we did it. I knew we weren't going to win any games with Herschel Walker. We needed to get some young players.
Well, it all worked out. Obviously, those picks, you had, six? You had 5 players, 6 draft picks, and some of the players turned into Emmitt Smith, Russell Merlin, Kevin Smith, Darren Woodson.
That's great stuff right there out of you, Coach, because we're in the heart of Sixers country, and as I'm sitting there listening to you talk, I'm thinking, you were Sam Hinkie in the process before there was the process. You understood that you had to do a whole overhaul.
Well, back then there wasn't any fantasy football, and very few teams made any trades. I mean, I had a difficult time trading with people because most teams just wouldn't even trade. And so that's kind of how I got to know Bill Belichick. He was at Cleveland. I made a couple of trades with him. And Davis would always trade with me. And so, so I was able to make a few trades. But it was really different back then as far as nobody would make trades. Now everybody makes trades. And the way we did it, by trading, we were able to build up a bunch of picks. And a lot of teams get picks. But and that's not the key. The key is picking the right players. My first 4 picks were all academic All-Americans. They all ended up making the Pro Bowl. Troy Aikman, Daryl Johnston, Mark Stebnowski, Tony Tolbert. Wow. So we picked good players. And you look at the Herschel Walker trade, people, they want to combine the players that we picked with the picks that we got. Well, it didn't work that way. Every player was it was aligned with a pick. So I actually told Minnesota, I'm going to cut every single one of those players that you sent us. Now, we kept Jesse Solomon, David Howard, and Isaac Holt, but they were not part of our Super Bowl teams. They were just part of that transition. So, in essence, we really got about 4 or 5 picks, but we picked some good players with those picks.
Well, Coach, I'm really excited to have you on today. Of course, you kick off the Jimmy Johnson Quest for the Ring Fishing Championship Week here in Atlantic City from July 12th to the 17th, hosted at the Frank S. Farley Marina in the Gold Nugget, and also presented by the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. Looking forward for a big week, and watch out for the Island Girl. That boat looks like it's going to be the favorite.
Well, we're gonna have a ball. I know that. We're looking forward to it. I'll be coming up there soon.
All right, Coach Johnson, thank you so much. Good luck, and maybe we'll see you during the week.
Okay, thank you. I'll talk to you guys later.
There he is, Coach Jimmy Johnson.
Thanks, Coach.
On the Barb's Harley-Davidson Sports Hotline.